Welcome to Stoic Courage. There are men she can't control, not because they fight her, but because they no longer need anything from her. Most men crave attention, affection, and approval. They bend, they chase, they react. But some men, they've made peace with silence, they've mastered desire, and they lead with presence, not pursuit. In this video, you'll discover 6 types of men a woman cannot control, not because they're playing a game, but because they've become unshakable. 1. The man who doesn't need to be chosen. Most men are waiting to be picked, waiting to be told they matter, waiting to finally be enough for someone. You can feel it in how they speak, how they text, how they over-explain, over-apologize, over-give. Because deep down, they don't believe they're valuable on their own. But a man who doesn't need to be chosen, he stands differently. He speaks less. He never begs for closeness, because his sense of self was not built from her affection. It was forged in solitude, in challenge, in silence, in mornings where no one was watching, but he still showed up for himself. He walks into a room not asking, "Who's going to notice me?" but instead, "Where do I choose to bring my presence?" And women feel this. A woman feels it when a man does not orbit around her, when he can look her in the eye and not flinch, when her validation means nothing, not because he hates her, but because he's no longer addicted to the highs and lows of feminine approval. This kind of man doesn't avoid love, but he doesn't chase it either. He lets love enter when it aligns with his path, not when it tries to replace it. And this is the first kind of man a woman can't control, the one who has already chosen himself. 2. The man whose mission is louder than her emotions. You cannot control a man who serves something greater than himself, and she can feel it when she's no longer the center of his world, because that space is already taken by duty, by creation, by silence. The Stoics believe that a man must live in accordance with nature, and nature doesn't pause to please emotions. The sun doesn't wait for applause before rising. The river doesn't ask permission before it flows. This man wakes not to be adored, but to honor what he's here to build. His life isn't shaped by how she feels that morning, but by the architecture of discipline carved in solitude. He hears her, yes. He sees her fully, but he will not contort himself to fit a passing storm, because he belongs to a mountain higher than affection and more enduring than mood. While others bend to gain warmth, he stands firm to protect the fire within. And she notices. She tests not maliciously, but instinctively, to see if this structure can be shaken. It cannot, because love may come, it may stay, it may go, but the mission remains. This is the second kind she cannot command, the one whose life is already spoken for by purpose. 3. The man who doesn't react, he reflects. To react is human, to reflect is divine. The Stoics taught that nothing outside of you can disturb you unless you let it in. Not a woman's anger, not her silence, not her chaos. The man who lives by this becomes still like a stone in the river, unmoved but aware. She tests him, raises her voice, pulls away, watches closely for a crack. But he doesn't move, not because he doesn't feel, but because he's already chosen what deserves his attention. A lesser man argues, explains, defends, gets pulled into every emotional tide, losing himself in the attempt to fix what was never his to fix. But this man, he pauses, he breathes, he looks through the storm and sees the root, not just the noise. He knows that her emotions are not personal. They are passing weather, and like a true Stoic, he doesn't try to control the weather, only how he walks through it, and something in her shifts. She doesn't feel opposition, she feels containment, because in his stillness, she meets herself. In his restraint, she feels seen, not solved. And that's where control dies. This is the third kind she cannot provoke. The one who no longer confuses emotion with truth. If this kind of truth speaks to you, you're welcome to subscribe. We don't chase clicks, we build clarity. And if you choose to stay, I promise we'll keep going deeper. The man who doesn't get jealous because he owns nothing. Jealousy is not proof of love, it's proof of possession. And possession is the illusion that you're owed something, even a person. But a Stoic man knows you don't own her. You don't even own yourself. Everything you touch is borrowed. Every connection is temporary. Even the breath you're holding right now is on loan. So he doesn't get jealous because he never claimed ownership in the first place. She is not his to control, not her time, not her body, not her attention. She is simply with him for as long as nature allows it, and that is enough. When she grows distant, he doesn't spiral. When others look at her, he doesn't flinch. When old patterns try to rise, he watches them like passing clouds. Not truths, not commands, just weather. He does not guard the woman, he guards his peace. Because love to him is not a chain, it's a presence. And presence is only beautiful when it's free to leave. That freedom is what makes him powerful. That detachment is what makes him whole. This is the fourth kind she cannot possess, provoke, or own. The one who never clung in the first place. 5. The man who can walk away without closure. Closure is a luxury. Peace is a choice. A lesser man will demand the explanation. He needs a story that makes him feel right. He needs her to understand why he's leaving. He wants the final word. But the Stoic man, he leaves the room as calmly as he entered it, because he was never there to prove anything, only to be true while it lasted. She may expect the storm, expect the cold silence, expect the angry words, the long text, the guilt trip, but all she gets is space. Not as punishment, not as revenge, just a return to stillness. This man doesn't need her to see his worth on the way out. He already knew it on the way in. Because when respect is lost, when truth is bent, when energy turns sharp and draining, he doesn't fight for what no longer feels like peace. He doesn't need closure because he never needed chaos to begin with. This is the fifth kind she cannot wrap in emotion, the one who disappears without the need to be remembered. 6. The man whose desires don't rule him. He sees her, he wants her, but he doesn't chase her. Because desire is there, yes, but desire doesn't steer. Discipline does. The Stoics warned, you become a slave the moment you allow your wants to guide your actions. And most men, they live enslaved by her beauty, by her approval, by the aching emptiness that begs to be filled by someone, anyone. But this man, he doesn't suppress desire. He studies it. He watches it rise, watches it pull, watches it whisper lies. And then he breathes. He chooses presence over pursuit, depth over dopamine, because he's walked that road before, the one where lust pretends to be love, where validation wears perfume, where hunger for connection makes fools of the undisciplined. Not this time. He'd rather lose her than lose himself. She senses it, that she cannot bait him with beauty, that he does not confuse chemistry for clarity, that he can admire her fully without needing to have her. And there, in that quiet detachment, she finds something terrifying and magnetic. A man who wants nothing, because he already has himself. This is the final kind she cannot tempt, trap, or tame. The one whose hunger bows to his mind, not the other way around. Not all men are meant to be controlled. Some are meant to be remembered, not for how they begged, but for how they stood still, clear, silent, unmoved. She couldn't hold him, because he already belonged to something far greater. His principles, his path, his peace.